I wouldn't really call what they've done to Harrow recently as buffing him. They extended durations and a bunch of other stuff, and I will agree it made him better, much better than he was, but he is still not overpowered, as I've heard some people say. He still takes a really weird build to get him to be any good. Now, I personally want to leave that pink spot on his neck. I've done it with a few frames, but because I'm using him constantly, I've got to do this, and I really don't want to do this because now I can't come in here ever again with this frame. I swear. Helminth is such a troll. These changes, of course, came in 21.0.4. They increased the duration of his shields by 25% for Penance, as well as the duration cap went from 60 seconds to 120. The fire rate buff, that was very noticeable. They changed it from 25% to 35%, and it was insanely noticeable. The reload speed was also increased. I mean, to be fair, I didn't expect this to really be that noticeable, but yeah, the fire rate and the reload speed, I'd never really noticed it that much before, but I think it's just because they changed it. I noticed, I mean, the reload speed, it's going to help more on slower weapons. Thurible had its range increased, and a lot of people say it didn't really need it, but I did find myself running around making sure I'm near people, and that got me out of position to kill things, because with Penance and Thurible, you have to kill things to get the energy and the health buffs to work. They also sped up the channeling of Thurible, and they made it affected by natural talent, so it goes quicker, as well as channels quicker. But they sped it up by 50%, which made it much better. It's less running around putting energy into it, so that whole putting it in there was made way quicker, which isn't really a buff, it just sped up the animation. The only thing that happened to Thurible is its range was increased by 5 meters. It went from 15 to 20, but it made it so much more usable because you had to look less at where allies were to make sure they're in that circle, which helped so much. And then weirdly, the last big buff was, and I'm still saying it wrong, but I'm still going to call it Covenant. They increased the damage per crit from 1.25% to 1.5%. There is lots of different theories about what that actually means, but after trying it out, it basically kind of looks like it means you can take more hits. Not the timer on it, it's when you get the hits, it increases the number quicker. I could be wrong with that, but it increased crit per 100 damage from 1.25 to 1.5. And lastly, I'm going to get wrong for still saying it wrong, but I'm still going to call it Covenant. They changed it so the increased crit per 100 damage went from 1.25% to 1.5%. And I will admit I looked this up way too much because I just assumed on what it was to begin with, and I wanted to make a little bit more sure. But it looks like that is the incoming damage converted to crit, because it doesn't increase your crit damage past, I think it's 200% with the 4 times headshot multiplier and 50% for the normal body shots. That's a cap that hasn't moved. So this has to be incoming damage, and everything I looked at basically said pretty much the same thing, which is good because there was a few times I couldn't get enough incoming damage to get a big enough crit bonus that justified actually using the ability. Still used it every now and then, but I found after this update I used it a lot more because I know it's only 0.25% more, but it did seem to make a big difference. We'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.